How's it going? This is Ryan with R-Mark Trades. I'm going to be looking over a couple of trades that I took today, overall what the market did and how it played out. So first of all, we're looking at the daily chart here. I cleared my chart and just started fresh with a few levels relevant to where we were. Starting from the top, I marked the most recent high here at 456.43. I marked the high and the low of the previous trading day to see if we were going to break out of that range or not. Reason for doing that, typically if a candle spends the entire day within the range or the high or the low of a previous day's candle, typically those aren't trending days and those are kind of choppy days. When you see a breakout of previous days high or low, that usually indicates a trend in that direction. So that gave me 2 points to look for in terms of a break to the upside or the downside. There's a few levels in here that were determined off the hourly charts. We'll get those get to those in a second. And the last line at the bottom here is this 450 level that I've been watching for a while. Thought being that if we broke out of the bottom of yesterday's range, that would be a target to look for. Hop into the hourly chart here and look at some of these other levels that have been charted out. So high of yesterday, low of yesterday, these two in between came from the hourly chart. It was this level here that we had bounced off at the end of yesterday's trading day and in the pre-market. And it was also this whole 452 level. So that was one area that we'd bounced off on Tuesday's session as support on Thursday's session, some action in the pre-market, and then we kind of formed a base here before this move up in the pre-market. So I thought that was a relevant area to watch for in terms of a possible level that we could reach. And then the other was this area here, which is 453.66. Reason being that we had strong support here in this pre-market, strong support here in this pre-market. We bounced off it multiple times in yesterday's trading session, and that did come into play a little bit. As you can see on this hourly chart, we had a pretty big rejection on the hourly right at that level. So those were the levels, kind of my thoughts behind it. I was looking for either a break to the upside or the downside. In terms of the range of yesterday's, we didn't get that. We ended up kind of a choppier day as a result, but I was able to get one good trade and a few losing trades, so we'll dive into that. So off the rip, we kind of bottomed out yesterday and made this move up gradually through the pre-market, and we're opening kind of towards almost the high of yesterday's range, that 455 level. Right before the market opened, however, we started to dump, and as we were falling, we opened around 454, and immediately I was looking to see how we respond to this level that I have here. It had acted as resistance as recently as the pre-market, busted above. I was curious to see if we'd get a bounce in this area, especially after this first candle came all the way down and then closed up above. So my first trade of the day was calls at this level for a bounce. After I saw this, I took calls, I believe at the end or the very beginning of this candle here. We kind of bounced around. I saw that we had a big pullback, failure to break below it again for a second time. And I took calls on this as we opened kind of right above this level. We bounced around for a little bit and then came down, and I got stopped out pretty immediately. I think I actually took calls, so I took two trades here, both of which I got stopped out. After this first candle, I took calls off a bounce on this candle. I set my stop loss towards the bottom of this wick in terms of where the option premium was at that time, and somehow this wick down stopped me out. So I think the premium just moved really oddly because I thought that I'd have much more wiggle room than I did. So I got stopped out really prematurely on this one. I entered a second set of calls here and got stopped out as well on this candle. So I had two small losers. I was down $19 at the time. I was trading one contract at a time. Two losses there. After we broke that, I was looking for us to hit this level, this 452. I figured that that could be an area for a bounce. I was thinking that with this aggressive sell-off that we might be in a downtrending day. So I was saying that I could look for a bounce at 452 or a put at a potential bounce. So if we bounced and we showed weakness, it made a lower high, take puts on that. Ultimately it came down. We got pretty close to this 452 level, but we didn't quite hit it. We were off by about 20 cents. So I didn't get into calls here, but that would have played out pretty well had you done so. But it didn't quite hit my level, so I didn't enter. My winning trade and what ultimately allowed me to have a positive day was I took two puts up here at the top of this. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can really try to understand this. Pull that volume profile up a little bit. So as you could see, we sold off, we came down, we had a huge volume spike as we failed to break lower, and we started a reversal. But the thing is, on this reversal, each candle subsequently got less and less volume. As we came back up into this level that we had broken, that I was looking at support once, support broken now becomes resistance. We were approaching that level. We had falling volume, so I know that this wasn't really too strong of a rally up to this level. Once we got up here, I took two puts, and I rode the first one. I trimmed at 453, so I took 453 strikes. So I trimmed one once we hit 453, and it became in the money. That was a good move. And I immediately lowered my stop, and I just incrementally lowered my stop as we started this fall down here. Ultimately, I didn't sell at the very bottom. I was looking for my second price target of 452. I really wanted to touch this level, but I did lower my stop loss as we made our way down. This candle came up and stopped me out. Overall, that trade allowed me to be profitable on the day because these losses up here were pretty small in relation to, you know, over like a dollar move. So that allowed me to escape the day green. As you can see, we kind of chopped around for the rest of the day. We came back, bounced off a similar level, came up to a rejection at this similar level, and then just kind of chopped in this range that whole time. So we eventually hit that 452. It looks like in the post hours. But yeah, that's what I was looking for. Once we just established some clear selling pressure. Just looking for a bounce with weak volume or weak price action or a combination of both, and take puts at a lower high. And that was just a result of being a bit more patient and allowing us to come up and retest this area. That's it. Not a great day. I mean, there were some moves to be had, but it could have been a bit tricky. Yeah, it was good to bounce back after yesterday. And as always, I trade live every single morning. Go on through, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.